What are we talking about?
We're talking about Convergence number 7, written by Jeff King and Scott Liddell, with art by Aaron Lopresti, Mark Morales, and Peter Steigerwald.
Yep.
Convergence continues, and the giant fight that we've been waiting for finally happens. But only briefly, as Deimos kicks Telos' ass and Parallax comes to pick up his slack. That's right, Hal Jordan destroys Deimos, but with no vessel to contain the power of the Time Masters, the energy shoots out of the planet Telos and looks like it kills everyone in the New 52 universe who came to see the planet enter their reality. All except for Superman and Supergirl, that is. Did this confuse you at all, like Chisanga was saying?
Uh, I don't. It confused me a bit only because they threw so much at us this week. I'm paging through it right now, and even just the panels, they're cool. The panels where there's 8 Martian Manhunters, and there's all these Supermen, which we haven't even seen yet in this, and I just think that they ended up throwing so much at us that by the end, it just ended up being confusing anyway.
Like they tried
But
to be on a larger scale than they actually could by
uh,
throwing a bunch at you with no real meaning.
That and also the fact that it really seemed like they had to rush things to get done. They only have one more issue left, and they weren't going anywhere. Now all of a sudden it's like, okay, the Oracle's falling apart. There's, oh my God, he's falling apart. No, reality is, and
Dun
oh my
dun
goodness.
dun.
And then I laugh because again, on that page at the end, there is Jediah Cole.
He's like right
I'm
up in
like,
your
what is
face.
going on? And again, I mentioned to you when I first read it, and you hadn't read it yet. And I'm like, just wait till you see who they throw in this week. And it's Apollo and the engineer from
Yep.
Stormwatch. Where are they deciding these characters to be involved?
The
Not
wor-
that's not that awful.
No.
It's just why pick them?
Well, the worst
Why?
part is, I would have liked to see them because it looks like they were hurt doing something.
Yeah, yeah.
We
It looks
never
like they're
saw
hurt.
what that was,
No.
but they're just there. None of the rest of the Stormwatch crew, just Apollo and the engineer.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
they
Apollo. They're both out. They're unconscious.
yeah,
They're
Superman's
out.
saving them from something that we never get to see. And
No,
then he brings
no.
them back, and we see that where last week I thought, like, maybe it was just a mistake they put all these characters in, or it was just the worst possible
Yeah.
choice of
Oh,
characters.
I was going to get to that right after you were done.
Oh, because I was saying though, because we had a bunch of characters that were already dead in the main continuity, and they brought them back for this, and like there has to be a reason. This could not be this epic of a mistake.
It appears to
It
be.
appears to be.
And again, you get a lot of time. You have a way this week where, okay, there they are again. There's Zillia Socks.
Yes.
And you're waiting for somebody to go, wait a second, Zillia, you're dead. No, he isn't. He even has a speaking line.
Yeah.
And basically tells Guy Gardner that, why do we have to stay with these humans? And you're like, Zillia, shut up, you're dead.
Which is
But
even odder that he's
it's
talking to
so,
Guy.
I'm telling you, like you said, it's either a plan or a major mistake, and I'm telling you it's a mistake. And how unlucky can you be? You have the whole DCU. You have to pick characters. Now, what I said to you, the only way I can explain it is they said, listen, you have to have some characters around that don't mean anything. These are throwaway characters. You can throw them in there. Nobody's going to question you because they're so obscure and out. Nope, they pick a bunch of dead guys that were popular. Not that Jediah Cole was ever popular. We liked him.
Yeah.
But Zillia Socks, that guy,
Scalix.
Scalix. Zillia Socks, though, was huge. During Charles Soule's run of Red Lanterns, people, that was the
My
main,
favorite
they
character.
loved them.
Yeah.
I do want to say that this issue starts a trend with me a little where there's a little bit of when Apollo gets back. When Superman brings Apollo, there's a nice butt shot there of Apollo, by the way. It continues later where Dick Grayson has one of the biggest butt shots ever.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
It's so crazy. But in this issue, you get a big spread where you see the battle going on in Telos, and I'm telling you, it's awesome. That's
Yeah.
the great. You see
That's
so
all I've
many
wanted from
things
this
going
event.
on. And but like you said in your little thing, it's too brief. You only get a couple pages, then you go back and Telos is all crazy, and then Parallax Hal just decides to just mess shit up and looks like he's going to ruin everything. And I don't know. It is confusing though because there's so much rushing to get done and nothing explained.
See, I don't know
And
if this is true or not, but we're going to go with this. So, like, we have these crazy ideas what goes on behind the scenes. And in my mind, they paired Scott Liddell to help Jeff King out with the ins and outs of what's been going on in the DCU.
Yeah.
He got pissed off that they hired somebody outside of the comics first to write this.
I told you this theory. I think that this is our conspiracy
Yeah.
theory, but I think that all of them are screwing around. Anybody who's there to help Jeff King is giving him wrong information, so they never hire somebody outside. Because the reason they hired Jeff King was to make a story that everybody could get into. That we're going to hire a guy who is not a normal comic book writer, at least in our DC universe, so that a newcomer coming in knows what they can write to get these people in. And instead, it's really getting messed up. And I can't say that I think that Jeff King has done a bad job. I think that whoever's set him up to do this did a horrible job.
Yeah.
And where are the copywriters who are supposed to get and the editors who should know, or at least they have to have a continuity guy. I always say that
Script
they should. Maybe
supervisor?
they don't. Yeah, just I know that I heard way back that the LucasArts had guys for the books and all that. So if I'm writing a Star Wars, one of those old Star Wars continuity books,
Right.
and I'm writing the return of multiple Jedis. I can't come up with a book. I'm awful. But if I have a question at 3 a.m. in the morning because I'm up writing, I have a number I can call and say, hey, if I say that Yoda was 12 and he bought some beer, can I do that? No, he wasn't allowed. They have that. Does DC not have anybody who somebody can call and say, hey, by the way, I'm going to throw these characters in, the Zillia Socks guy who looks like a testicle. Can I do that? No, you can't. He's dead. Oh, okay. I'll move on.
Yeah.
I have many characters. Like I said, they had to pick characters that didn't mean much, or they did fine with the JLU.
Right.
The
JLU's
guys
fine
are
being there.
It's fine. How about find out 10 Green Lanterns that aren't dead? Don't go for the Guardians. Don't go for Jediah Cole. Don't say like, oh, that book's canceled, so that means I can use these characters and nobody will get upset. No, they're dead. And Jediah Cole died horribly.
Oh, that was worse.
Yeah.
I could not believe it. I actually had to go back and read the ending again once that came out. And I'm like, oh my God, they actually just killed him off because the series was over.
Yeah, the series was over. Remember, they made it seem like, because of the game show aspect of Threshold, that it was like the network had canceled them, and it was kind of a meta thing about a book being canceled as well. It was pretty good, but this issue was not that great.
Well, I'm saying with this issue, we got more mistakes, like I was talking about, with the continuity of characters being there. But last issue, we had Guy Gardner, Red Lantern, which is bad enough because Guy's not a Red Lantern anymore. But in this issue, we see that he's a Green Lantern now.
Yeah, and basically, you say he's not a Red Lantern anymore. He's nothing.
No.
He's not a lantern at the moment. Now, again, you can tell me this happens here, there, and everywhere, but it's just...
It doesn't bring Zilius and Scalix back to life.
No, it does not. It does not. And again, like you said, I want to see what happened to Stormwatch.
Yeah.
It's funny because I told you the last thing we saw of Stormwatch was them in Future's End.
Right.
So after Stormwatch, the book got canceled, they were in Future's End then. And for some reason, I was thinking of that Stormwatch, like the Future's End version. Obviously, it wasn't them. But yeah, there they are. I'm looking at it now. And this whole thing with the Telos coming into our universe.
I was just going to say, I never brought that up last week on the podcast, or even in my review, but here, for some reason, it was very, right in my face, wondering why. Why is the planet coming through to that reality? No, there's no explanation, either on Telos or in the Prime universe. It just doesn't make any sense.
And it even says that it's certainly affecting everything. At the beginning, it opens up with Cyborg saying that every clock on Earth just stopped.
Yeah.
And the temporal and NMR readings are off the charts, and it's just like, man, it's really screwing things up. I don't understand. I would love to tell you that I'm positive and hopeful that next issue is going to do stuff and
I'd like
make
to be.
everything work out. I can't say that's going to be the case. I don't. Would you give this?
Oh, I'm not done with that yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying, we are given so many things that I just don't understand in this issue. Like I said, with the continuity with the characters, why Telos is actually coming through to that reality. And then when Deimos is fighting Parallax and he tells him to die, he yells die so ferociously that everybody outside, in the New 52 universe, hear him. And when they hear him, we have Superman, Supergirl, and Martian Manhunter featured when they hear him. and they see versions of themselves throughout the history of the DC like comics history. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah,
No
I don't
explanation.
even know that they really see it. I know
Well,
they said, "Do you see that?" But I think it was the word "die."
I'm
I
saying,
see the die or the vapor coming out in the explosion because when he says "die," it comes out like a explosion that looks like it hit the Oracle. And I just think this other thing is like supposedly like, oh my god, it's affecting every version of them. There, I don't. It
well, no.
doesn't.
Afterwards, it looks like they're saying it because they say to one another, "Did that seem familiar to you?" I'm like, "It is all you three. Come on." It
Yeah,
is obviously you three looking different at some point in time.
yeah. I don't know. To me, it looked like it was like they were looking at the explosion. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I did like
It's
the
just
fight scene like we are
ridiculous.
talking about though, and I love the art in this issue. Everything looked great.
Yeah, the art was awesome.
If only the story were better, it could have been a great issue, but the story has been lacking since the beginning.
Yeah.
Actually, I really liked issue zero, but issue zero was written well after the series was finished.
Yeah, I don't. I'm starting to. Again, we're going to be talking all this time about these books, and I'm really starting to get the convergence fatigue. We talked about it last week. Boy, this event is really starting to drag on
The
me,
burnout
and
factor.
it is. It's and part of it are the tie-ins that follow kind of the same formula. Even
Yeah,
though there's a bit of a mix-up of that this week. There's some good differences this week, but
there's
still,
there's some really like not like it's like two of the writers of these books of the tie-ins were cheating off each other's tests when they were writing this. So,
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's
but
everything kind of goes down the line, and this book though, it's just like you have all these characters, and all of a sudden, I don't know. All of a sudden, there's Lex and there's Huntress, and it's like you're like, what's going on? I know it just I don't have any ties. Like, who's your favorite character in Convergence?
um, I don't know off the top of my
I
head
don't
right now.
have one. I don't have one. It's just a bunch of guys thrown together. There's not a good enough narrative around them for me to say, man, I mean, I might even go Hal Jordan.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because, man, he's kicking ass. At least he's doing something. But the other guys, it's just a bunch of, it's a mess. I can't say like, oh, and also, who do you think is winning this event? But we're 1 week away,
The
and
readers.
you would hope. Yeah, you always say that. But yeah, I don't even get the idea of like, oh man, these people better catch up because it doesn't matter because 3 issues in we found out that the whole contest had been done,
Yeah.
and it just ended up it just nonsense. I know I say that a lot, but man, it is, and then. I'm looking through this and just shaking my head. I don't know anything else about that. Because man, I hope next week is better.
So do I.
Because
It's a finale.
it's really. What did you give this? I'm gonna guess you gave this a 5.8.
5.8. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Five point
knew
eight
it.
out of 10. Yeah,
Yeah,
because you.
because I told you it would be a 6, and you wanted to prove me wrong.
No, I gave it what I thought.
Yeah, now that I've read it a couple times and looked at it right now, I might even go like 4. It's just I
I
like
really like the art
battles
and the
well,
battle.
yeah, the art is really good. The art is really good throughout, but yeah, it's a downer.